Hey YouTube, what's going on? Hope everyone is having a good day out there and would like to officially welcome you to the very first video of my series that is still not titled but will be surrounding the topic of working in public accounting / passing the CPA exam. So if you find accounting boring, spoiler alert, even a lot of people that work in accounting find it boring, but if you're not interested in this topic, just go ahead and tune out now because it's going to be a lot about taking and passing the CPA exam, and I'm sure a lot of you probably would never even want to even think about doing that. So just to get that disclaimer out of the way. Now, another disclaimer, I will mention Becker in this video. Wow, that was very hard to come up with the word video. Very complex, Sean. But this is not an official endorsement or advertisement for Becker. That's just the program I happen to use because it was the one that was provided to me through my firm. So while I do think it's a great platform, this is in no way any kind of advertising. I wish I was being compensated by them, but I'm not. I am just a poor little freelance creator, YouTube person who does not make any money off this platform. So yeah, let's go ahead and get right into it. This is probably one of the biggest questions I get asked whenever I work at recruiting events for my firm. Everyone wants to talk about the CPA exam, and in fairness, I always want to talk about the CPA exam as well. I don't know about you, but I always love hearing about other people's perspectives and opinions or experience because I like to think about what worked and didn't work for them, think about how I operate, and then tailor that in order to create the recipe for success for myself. So with that being said, I figured I would go ahead and make this video to give you an idea of how I did it, how I was able to pass all the exams in a span of, I guess, between 6 and 9 months, depending how you look at it. If you look at it from start to finish in terms of beginning studying to very last exam, but the actual exam time frame was about 6 months. But that's getting off course. Essentially, I just wanted to make a video explaining my experience, how I did it, how I got from point A to point B, which was ultimately passing all 4 sections of the exam, and what I think were 5 keys to success. And I think these 5 keys will go a long way for anyone, not just someone like myself, because at the end of the day, this isn't a magic formula. I'm not going to give you the answers. I'm not going to give you any kind of secret potion that you can drink like Bugs Bunny in Space Jam and then automatically go out and pass the CPA exam, because nothing like that exists. But with that being said, it's not that hard in terms of the actual content. Is it a lot of content? Yes. Can it be difficult? Yes, at first. But really, it just comes down to a few basic principles, staying dedicated and staying on top of it. So let's go ahead and let's get into it. So first and foremost, this is going to be probably the most groundbreaking and earth-shattering tip that I'm going to present today, and that is, wait for it, can I get a drum roll? Don't want to put effects in here, so this is my drum roll. 1 is you have to study. Wow, that is incredible. Shocking, I know, right? But this might sound ridiculous to you, especially if you're a student out there or someone who is in the middle of studying for your exams right now. It might seem crazy to you for me to even say that you have to study, but believe me, you need to study. And I'm saying this because I know plenty of people who struggle with these exams because they just don't study. And these are really smart people, very smart people, who if they just put a little bit of time in and they studied, I have no doubt they would pass the exam. But the problem is people are A, lazy, and then B, they're also very smart. That's a very bad combination when it comes to a test like this, because it's ultimately going to result in them not taking it seriously. And if you don't take it seriously, I don't care how smart you are, it's going to be very, very difficult to pass these exams, especially a section like regulation, where I don't care how good you are with numbers and the minutia. If you don't know the actual laws behind the concept and the actual rules, which you would never know unless you studied, good luck passing the exam beyond sheer luck. So that's first and foremost. I know it sounds ridiculous, but I had to get it out of the way. You have to study for these things. Okay, number 2. Prioritize. And when I say prioritize, that means a few different things. So let's go ahead and start off with the first thing I mean, and that is prioritize which section you want to get over with and take first. Essentially prioritize how you're going to take the exams, right? So there's 4 sections. I'm sure you probably noticed if you're watching this video, but if anyone out there doesn't, you have FAR, which is essentially financial reporting. You have audit, which is auditing, regulation, which is tax, and you have BEC, which is more or less corporate governance, business, a lot of finance, that sort of thing. So you have to decide which sections you want to knock out first. And for me, this is how personally I took the exam. So I started off with FAR. I knew I wanted to get FAR out of the way fast because it's a bear, it's a beast, it's huge, it's very intimidating, it's a lot to handle. And I can just tell you, I'm glad I took FAR first, because by the time I was taking my last section, which was audit, I was extremely burnt out, and I really don't think I would have given FAR the attention and energy it required for me to pass had I saved it for the end. So I took FAR first. I took BEC next, about 2 to 3 weeks after I took FAR, and then I took Reg about a month after that, which was technically the first day for me full-time at my firm. So more or less in a nutshell, what I wanted to do was I wanted to get the 2 hardest ones out of the way first. So I wanted to get FAR and Reg out of the way before I started working full-time, because I knew well, number one, I was starting full-time in busy season, and number 2, I just knew that even if it wasn't busy season, it's going to be very difficult to go home and study concepts and topics like that after you've had a full day at work. So that was my logic. I ended up taking audit after busy season. I passed all 4 on my first try, but well, that was a terribly douchey humble brag. I'm sorry. It's not that special. A lot of people pass on their first try. You can pass on your first try if you take it seriously as well. But yeah, so really sit down, think about what you're good at, think about what your weak points are, and come up with a plan of attack of what you think would be the most ideal path of getting to taking your first exam to passing that 4th one. Okay? So third, and this is an important one as well, keep moving. And what do I mean by keep moving? So when I say keep moving, I mean just that. I mean, do not get stuck on individual topics, because trust me, it's going to be very tempting when you're going through an exam like FAR and you're studying. There's a lot of different topics in there, some that can be pretty complex and have a million different layers underneath that can be very difficult to grasp, especially if you're studying in a really short amount of time. I can tell you that I wasted days studying for certain topics, and some of those topics I didn't get a single question on the exam. What does that tell you? It tells you you need to be efficient with your time. If something just isn't clicking, know it at a high level and move on, because it's far more important that you get through all of the topics, get through the entire material first, and give yourself time to review, than to waste your time trying to master each and every one. Before you know it, your exam's next week. You still have 6 sections that you haven't even looked at yet, and that's how you run into a recipe for disaster. So keep moving, don't get stuck, and just know things at a high level and move on if it's something that just really isn't clicking for you. Okay, moving right along. And this is another one that you're going to hear a lot of people talk about, and that is MCQs, which means multiple choice questions. And I will say it again, multiple choice questions, multiple choice questions. Do them over and over and over and over. And then once you feel like you've done it enough, do them over and over and over and over again. It's a cliche, but it's true. Practice makes perfect. The more you do these questions, yes, at a certain point, you're going to have seen everything that there is to see through your practice material, or you can go out and buy other MCQs from a site like Ninja or something like that. I actually thought about doing that myself. I never did. But getting back to my point, even if you've seen these questions 5, 6, sometimes even 10 times, that's okay, because the important thing is understanding how and why the question is asked, and you'll know then what the exam questions are what the exam is asking you when you actually sit for the real thing. So that's half the battle, right? So like these concepts are difficult as it is, but this test is also a mental task in terms of understanding how to take it, how to approach it, and understanding what the questions are asking you. So the more you hammer it in, practice makes perfect. Honestly, I can tell you with confidence, the more confident you will be when you open up your first testlets and you take the actual MCQs on exam day. Just do it over and over and over again. I'm telling you, you're gonna get sick of it. Just do it over and over and over and over again. Okay, moving on to number 5, and this one is gonna be a little bit boring, but it needs to be said because it's true. ultimately you have to find what works for you, right? So everyone studies differently. If you're watching this video and you're about to take the exam, you've probably already been through several years of rigorous accounting curriculum at your university, and chances are you've already learned everything that you need to know for these exams to pass it. I'm not just saying that, you most likely have. And chances are you've also figured out how you study best. Don't make this that complicated. Take what you've always done over these past 4 years and then translate that into this exam. Do what works for you. Some people really want to read each and every chapter. I didn't. Some people want to watch every lecture. I did, because I'm a visual person. Some people know concepts very well and are more focused on efficiency more than anything else, so they will totally skip other sections. That's fine. You really have to figure out what works for you. Okay, so this video is a little bit longer than I intended, but what can I say? I'm passionate about taking the CPA exam. But no, I mean, honestly, really, it feels amazing once you're done. On top of if your firm gives you a bonus, I mean, that's great. But more than anything, once you get this thing off of your plate, you have a lot more free time to do things like this, make YouTube videos that no one watches on the internet. But in all seriously, let's just run through those steps one more time. So you have to study, you have to prioritize, you have to keep moving, you have to do MCQs until you don't want to do MCQs any longer, and you have to find what works for you. So yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below, or feel free to go ahead and reach out to me on Instagram. I'm more than happy to hear about what you have going on with your exams, any hang-ups you've had in the past. Again, this is just what worked for me. This was my approach. I think, honestly, I really do believe it. If you put the time in, if you put the hard work and the dedication in, I really do believe that this exam is very, very passable. It's just a test of how dedicated are you and how bad do you want it. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed the first episode of this series, all about the wonderful land of public accounting, CPAs, and numbers and Excel spreadsheets and all of that fun stuff. I don't know what video is going to be next, but yeah, that's it, Also, it's the second video I've made and still not any better at signing off. So yeah, all right. Goodbye, America.